Morning sunlight filters in through the tall courthouse windows and spills in golden streaks across polished wooden benches. Dust motes float lazily in the light, but the storm that is about to erupt inside is in sharp contrast to the serene beauty of the room. Kody Brown steps through the doors, an expensive navy suit, a little wrinkled, a crisp white shirt stretched taut over broad shoulders. His hands are tense, fingers flexing almost imperceptibly. He is the center of attention, yet the weight on his shoulders is heavier than any courtroom could ever hold. Today isn't about laws, rules, or precedent. It's about trust, betrayal, and the emotional wreckage of a family that has long been under the public microscope. Christine sits beside him, her arms crossed tightly, her jaw clenched as if to hold back words that might set a fire. Her eyes are dark and piercing, tracking Kody's every movement. There's an edge in her gaze, an anger, disbelief, and hurt bottled up for years of compromise and sacrifice. Silent suffering. Robyn sits with a very controlled expression, hands folded across her lap, her nails tapping lightly against each other. Her face is composed, almost serene, but in the subtle trembling of her fingers, she betrays the anxiety just below her calm exterior. In rapid succession, almost unseen, Janelle and Meri exchanged looks, wordless communication between women, used to treading softly around volatile emotional landscapes. Every look, every breath is fraught with tension, a lead-up to the confrontation waiting in the wings. The doors of the courthouse creak open once more, and in walks the judge, robes flowing, his face lined with experience from years of sitting at the bench, trying conflicts that often blurred lines between justice and human emotion. A soft hush falls over the room. Even the scratching of the court reporters' pens is muffled. The air is thick with anticipation. Papers rustle, lawyers whisper among themselves, and Kody shifts slightly in his chair. He knows that once the proceedings begin, there will be no turning back. First, the accusations are read out loud: financial discrepancies, alleged emotional neglect, and rumors of secrets kept from the family for years. Each word falls upon his chest like a weight. He swallows hard. He's trying to hold it together. Christine leans forward, her eyebrows knitted tightly, and her lips pressed into defiance in a thin line. Robyn's eyes flick down, trying to steady her breathing. Janelle's hands turn to fists, and Meri's face pales as the reality of their situation presses in. The courtroom feels smaller, every corner shadowed with anticipation. First, called to the stand, is a family friend whom they have all trusted for so long. She steps up with hesitant confidence, adjusts the microphone as if bracing herself for the weight of her own words, and begins in a voice that is calm, but trembling slightly under the gravity of the moment. I've seen the strain for years, but what happened last year, I can't stay silent anymore. Her eyes flick to Kody, who tenses immediately, his jaw tight. Christine's posture straightens. Robyn's breathing becomes shallow. Even the judge leans a little forward, interest and concern etching lines on their face. The witness recounts a private argument between Kody and Robyn, one that took place late one night, far from cameras and hidden from friends, yet never forgotten by those involved. She describes the tension, the raised voices, the words that cut deep, revealing fractures in a marriage that seemed unshakable from the outside. Kody's hands grip the edge of the bench, the memory of the argument washing over him uncomfortably vivid. Christine's eyes flash with recognition, anger flickering across her face. Robyn's fingers clutch the edge of her skirt, attempting to bottle a wave of emotion she feels but cannot fully express. As the witness slides a folder across the stand, the air seems to grow thick. Inside are confidential documents detailing a series of financial decisions Kody made, without consulting his wives. It's a revelation that lands like a thunderclap. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing, lips pursed with barely contained fury. Robyn's face goes pale, her lips trembling as she whispers something inaudible to Janelle. Meri's hands fidget nervously in her lap, betraying the panic she feels. The courtroom is suddenly alive with tension, the silence before the storm shattered by whispers and the shifting of chairs. Kody stands up, his voice trembling. I thought I was doing what was best, he says, his words tentative, heavy with guilt and desperation. Christine cuts him off sharply, the sting in her voice unmistakable. Best for you, maybe, Kody, but not for us. The weight of the words hangs in the room, and Kody falters before he can immediately respond. All eyes in the courtroom rest on him, awaiting a defense that is painfully inadequate under the weight of the evidence. The judge leans forward, eyes fixed on Kody. Is there anything you wish to say in response? They ask in a firm, neutral voice. Kody swallows, opens his mouth, then snaps it shut again, searching for words that can somehow mend the damage done. Christine's glare cuts through the air like a knife. Robyn twists in her seat, her hands shaking ever so slightly, and Janelle leans back in her chair, arms folded across her chest, her expression stoic, masking her inner turmoil. Meri sharply exhales a mix of frustration and fear. The doors to the courtroom burst open. All heads turn to see a figure step inside, someone no one expected to see. A former employee with intimate knowledge of the family's inner affairs. The electricity in the newcomer's presence captured every gaze. Kody's eyes widened slightly, his composure momentarily faltered. The wives exchanged glances, subtle but loaded with apprehension. The witness makes deliberate steps to the stand, carrying a folder that may contain the next bombshell revelation. The judge raises an eyebrow and nods to indicate the arrival. Each step the witness takes is heard like drum beats to prelude chaos. Christine's fingers tap nervously against the bench in anticipation and dread. Robyn's lips compress the slightest quiver, revealing her anxiety. Janelle and Meri are sitting rigid, waiting for what seems an inevitable shock to hit. For a moment, Kody is frozen, the weight of years of secrets bearing down on him. He adjusts his suit and runs a hand through his hair, swallowing audibly. The courtroom feels charged, every detail magnified, the smell of polished wood, the rustle of papers, and the hum of the fluorescent lights above them. The tension is palpable, living, breathing, pressing against each soul present. The witness opens the folder and slides documents across the stand toward the judge. Eyes widen across the courtroom. The contents are explosive. Emails, text messages, financial records showing decisions made without the wives' knowledge, each revealing a betrayal layered with personal and emotional implications. Gasps ripple, whispers swell, murmurs grow louder. Christine leans forward, her jaw clenched, as if ready to pounce. Robyn clutches her knees, no longer able to maintain the cool mask she has worn for so long. Meri's eyes well with tears. Janelle's lips pressed into a thin line of controlled outrage. The judge bangs the gavel lightly against the bench, calling for silence. Order in the court, he says in a steady, commanding voice. Kody's throat is parched. His palms perspire. He looks around at each of his wives, seeing the mix of anger, disappointment, and hurt that reflects years of unspoken tension. The courtroom seems to have shrunk, with the walls closing in, as the storm of truth begins to amalgamate. The room is thick with anticipation, as the first section of testimony draws to a close, each word cut deeper than the last. And now the stage is set for further revelations that could change the family forever. The tension is electric, the emotional stakes impossibly high. No one, neither Kody nor his wives, can predict what comes next. With the recess over, the courtroom settles back into tense silence. Kody fidgets in his chair, the folder from the last witness still burning in his mind. He attempts composure, smoothing the front of his suit, but the tension lines his face like a topographic map of every hidden mistake, every lie, every secret kept from his wives. Christine does not take her eyes off him. Her gaze cuts like a knife. Accusatory and laced with a weight only years of disappointment could hold. Robyn's hands are tightly clasped in her lap, her efforts at composure betrayed by the faint tremble that betrays the storm building inside. Janelle and Meri exchange another wordless glance, reading each other's minds. All are acutely aware that the next witness may tip the fragile balance of this courtroom into chaos. It is then that the gavel cuts through the quiet. "We will proceed," the judge declares, the tone sure, commanding, and leaves little room for hesitation. All eyes shift to the witness stand. A woman comes forth, a former employee who once managed some of Kody's private affairs. Softly, her heels click on the polished floor, a rhythmic punctuation of the drama about to unfold. She carries a thick folder, and with a deep breath, starts to recount events that have long been shrouded in secrecy. "I have something I need to reveal," she starts, voice quivering slightly, but holding a quiet authority. "For years, I watched decisions being made, decisions that affected this family, and yet I was never allowed to speak, until now." Her eyes flick briefly to Kody, who sits rigid, hands gripping the edges of his seat. The room feels smaller, almost suffocating, as her words settle over everyone present. Christine leans forward, anticipation and anger dancing across her features. Robyn's lips press together tightly, her face pale but determined. Even Janelle and Meri feel a wave of unease, the kind that rises before a storm breaks. She opens the folder, slowly sliding the documents across the stand for the judge's review. Each piece of paper feels heavy, laden with the weight of hidden truths. Financials, private emails, and messages between Kody and his confidants, revealing decisions made without the knowledge or consent of his wives. Every document is a thread unraveling the carefully stitched fabric of this family's life. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Christine's eyes widen, her hand covering her mouth. Robyn's fingers dig into her skirt, as if bracing herself. Meri's knees shake subtly, betraying her fear. Janelle's jaw clenches, every muscle in her face reflecting a storm of contained fury. The witness continues, talking of nights of whispered arguments, secret meetings, and decisions made behind closed doors. She describes one particularly late evening when Kody approved a major financial investment without consulting any of his wives. The amount is staggering, but greater still is the emotional impact. A decision that undermined trust, fueled resentment, and pushed fractures already present in the family to a dangerous edge. Christine slams her hand on the bench, a sharp, loud strike that echoes around the room. "How could you think this was acceptable?" she snaps, her voice carrying across the silent courtroom. Robyn swallows hard, her eyes fixed on Kody. "We trusted you," she says quietly. But in the words is a pain, cutting deeper than any accusation. Janelle's face hardens, lips pressed into a tight line, while Meri closes her eyes for a moment, one single tear slipping down her cheek. Section P. The judge, sensing the emotional intensity, calls for a brief pause. Reporters shift uncomfortably in their seats, snapping notes and recording every reaction. Cameras zoom in on every face: Christine's fury, Robyn's heartbreak, Janelle's simmering resentment, and Meri's quiet despair. Kody sits frozen, staring at the papers as if they are physical weights pressing down on his chest. The room feels like it is suspended in a fragile, tense equilibrium. When the proceedings resume, the witness plunges even deeper into the labyrinth of hidden truths. She reveals personal messages Kody sent to her, which are not malicious in content, but secretive, manipulative in their timing and tone, designed to control or appease certain situations without truly addressing the wife's concerns. Each revelation is another layer peeled back to expose a pattern of secrecy that leaves the courtroom gasping. Robyn palms her face to block out a reality she does not want to confront. Christine leans forward with her fingers steepled, her eyes burning with a mixture of fury and unbelief. Meri's hands are shaking as she clutches the bench so tightly it leaves marks on her knuckles. Janelle simply watches, her face a storm of silent judgment. Kody says finally, his voice hoarse and fragile. "I thought I was protecting everyone," he says, his eyes darting around the room. "I didn't mean to hurt any of you." But the words land like a hollow echo, failing to soothe the raw emotions filling the courtroom. Christine pierces him with her gaze. "Protecting us? By lying to us?" Her voice shakes, anger combined with a deep, pained sorrow. Robyn looks like she might collapse, her tears threatening to spill over, yet she fights to hold them back. Each second of restraint, a testament to her inner struggle. The witness proceeds to present a succession of emails, messages exchanged between Kody and a confidant, showing the full extent of his secretive behavior. The emails reveal not just financial decisions, but personal manipulations, conversations about who should know what, when, and how, including attempts to frame situations to appear harmless while controlling outcomes behind the scenes. Every revelation lands like a hammer strike, shaking the room with the weight of years-long deception. Christine rises abruptly and slams a hand on the desk. "We are not pawns in your games," she exclaims, her voice reverberating through the room. Robyn chokes back sobs, finally giving a glimpse of the emotional devastation that has been building for months. Meri stares blankly ahead, her eyes brimming over with fear and incredulity. Janelle's jaw hardens, her knuckles white, and her eyes narrow down to bright, cold slits. The tension between Kody and his wives has reached a point where every word, every glance, might ignite a confrontation that can't be contained. Kody tries to answer, voice quivering. I thought that was the best way to handle it." But the words mean nothing against the sheer weight of evidence mounting, against the emotional weight of years of secrets now revealed. It is as if the courtroom walls are closing in on him, each one reverberating with the wives' pain and anger. The air is thick, electric, a storm about to break. The judge, always the eye of the hurricane, requests a brief interlude once more. People rise slowly, catching each other's eyes, exchanging hushed words. Reporters murmur to document every particularity. The cameras zoom in on Christine's fists clenched, Robyn's hands shaking, Janelle in silent fury, and Meri's tear-marked cheeks. The suspense is nearly unbearable, and the audience watching feels the same pressure mounting inside the room. Finally, when the session resumes, the witness presents one last document, a recording of a conversation Kody had kept well hidden, in which his words were measured, calculated, yet containing a manipulative element no one had expected. The room falls dead silent, the sound of the gavel barely audible over the collective intake of breath. Kody pales upon hearing his voice, the words echoing through the courtroom with devastating clarity. Christine's eyes blaze. Robyn's tears fall openly, and Meri and Janelle's faces show their shock and disbelief. The tension reaches a head as the judge turns to Kody, his voice even, but with a great deal of weight. "Mr. Brown, do you have anything to say?" in response to this final evidence. Kody swallows hard, trying to steady his voice. I never intended. I thought I was protecting everyone, he says. But the hollow weight of the words is undeniably there. Behind the unexpected, new arrival, the courtroom doors shut, and a brittle silence falls. Kody's shoulders grow rigid, his usually composed facade starting to crack. Christine's eyes narrow to a point. Robyn presses her palms against her thighs, trying to steady herself. Janelle and Meri exchange a glance that speaks volumes. Years of tension, trust broken, and secrets long buried are about to be exposed. Every heartbeat in the room feels magnified. The air is heavy and thick, suffocating. She steps forward, clutching a folder tightly in her hands. Her voice is calm, unruffled, yet deliberate, with every word calculated in the depth of the effect it will have. What I'm about to show you will confirm what some of you have feared for years, she says, eyes flicking briefly to Kody. It's time the truth comes out. She makes swift, precise movements, laying the documents down on the stand. Emails, texts, and private notes, all revealing the scope of Kody's clandestine decisions. Decisions that had affected not just finances, but the very core of his family's emotional foundation. Kody's face goes white as he identifies his handwriting and messages. Christine leans forward, lips pressed in a thin line, her eyes flashing with vindication. I knew it, she mutters inaudibly. Robyn's lips quiver as she whispers, this changes everything. Meri's eyes widen, a single tear escaping down her cheek. Janelle, always collected, tightens her jaw, her hands folded over the bench as if preparing for impact. The witness starts to read from one of those emails in a voice that cuts through the room like ice picks. Kody had approved a substantial investment without consulting his wives, promising it would benefit the family. But the emails show he was warned it would lead to disaster. Warned by people in whom he had confidence that secrecy would only breed resentment. The letters also show efforts to manipulate each wife individually, promising assurances while not disclosing the overall plan. Christine's hand comes down hard on the bench. You've treated us like fools, Kody. Fools who love you blindly while you make these decisions in secret. Her voice shakes, going back and forth between anger and heartbreak. Robyn slams her hands onto her face, quiet sobs finally breaking free. Ones she has been holding in for months now. Janelle's knuckles go white while her teeth grit, holding herself back from erupting. Meri leans forward, whispering almost to herself, I can't believe I didn't see this sooner. The judge raises an eyebrow for order. Let's proceed with care, he says in a calm tone, trying to steady the rising tide of emotion. The words barely cut through the charged air. Every witness, every family member, and even the onlookers feel the weight of the revelations pressing down like a physical force. Kody gets up, voice shaking. I thought I was doing what was best, he says, but his explanation falls flat. Robyn looks up, eyes glistening with tears, and cuts him off sharply. Best for you, maybe, but not for us, not for any of us. The courtroom seems to shrink further, with tension, from unspoken emotions. Every whisper, every gasp, amplifies the gravity of what's been revealed. The witness presents another set of documents, introduced as those Kody likely thought were safely hidden. Bank statements, text conversations, recorded memos. They all revealed he had been making decisions on his own for months, keeping the family in the dark under the guise of protection. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing in fury. How could you justify this? She asks, her voice raw with emotion. Robyn closes her eyes, taking slow, shaken breaths to calm herself, though her hands give away the chaos going on inside her. The testimony takes on a darker note as the witness reveals private conversations between Kody and a former confidant, discussing ways to influence each wife differently. It was subtle manipulation, promises to appease, half-truths to comfort, and silence to maintain control. The courtroom gasps collectively. Christine slams her fists onto the bench once more. Robyn covers her face, her shoulders trembling. Meri just shakes her head, hardly able to believe this. Janelle leans back, her jaw set tight, as if bracing for the emotional blow she cannot escape. Kody's own hands are white-knuckled on the edge of the bench, his face pale. "I didn't realize the impact," he says, but his words ring hollow in light of the growing evidence against him. The reactions of his wives say it all. Christine's lips press thin, her eyes hot with controlled rage. Tears glitter in Robyn's eyes, threatening to spill over once more. Janelle's jaw is still clenched, and Meri's breathing turned shallow, tension almost unbearable. The witness produces one final piece of evidence, a recorded conversation where Kody's own voice confirms his intentions to make decisions unilaterally, believing he could protect the family from conflict while controlling outcomes. The audio plays, each word echoing like a hammer striking wood through the courtroom. Christine gasps, putting her hand over her mouth. Robyn's tears fall freely now, falling silently and uncontrolled. Meri flinches, unable to listen, and Janelle's expression hardens into a mask of resolute fury. The judge turns to Kody, his eyes searching for any sign of defense. "Mr. Brown, do you have anything to say regarding this recording?" Kody swallows audibly, his voice barely a whisper. I thought I was doing what was best. For everyone," he repeats, but the courtroom feels as if it's holding its collective breath, waiting for a revelation that might never come. Christine rises, her voice cracking but determined. "Doing what's best doesn't mean lying, it doesn't mean hiding, and it doesn't mean manipulating us like pieces on a chessboard." Robyn wipes her tears, her voice firm now, resonating with a quiet strength that surprises even her. "We are not pawns, Kody. We are your family, and you betrayed that trust." The witness steps aside as another document is brought forward, something no one expected. A series of letters and emails exchanged with an unknown intermediary, detailing Kody's long-term plans to secretly influence the family's finances, household decisions, and even relationships. Gasps echo through the courtroom in stunned murmurs. Christine's eyes narrow, an intensity within them that could spark flames. Robyn whispers something to Janelle and Meri and shakes her head in utter disbelief. It wasn't just one mistake. It was a pattern, years in the making, carefully orchestrated to keep him in control and still look innocent. Kody gets up again, trying to defend himself. I was trying to protect everyone. I didn't." His words falter as Christine interrupts, the force of her anger palpable. "Protecting us? By lying? By manipulating? By hiding everything?" The courtroom is electric, every seat filled with eyes darting between the spouses, cameras capturing every subtle movement and every overt expression of fury, disbelief, and heartbreak. Meri finally speaks, voice trembling but full of emotion. "We trusted you, all of us, and now I don't even know if I can believe anything you say." Janelle nods slightly, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. Robyn's lips quiver, as if she is balancing on the edge of a collapse. Christine's face is a mask of controlled rage, every word carefully chosen, but laced with venom. The judge calls for calm, but it feels like the room is ready to erupt any moment. The evidence has become such a volatile mix of shock, anger, and heartbreak that every element, family members, court personnel, and onlookers, are all on edge. The testimony, the documents, and the audio recording have combined into one moment of truth that feels nearly unbearable. The courtroom feels smaller than it ever has. The air is thick, almost tangible, weighed down by betrayal, heartbreak, and the raw emotion of years-long secrets now exposed. Kody sits at the center of it all, shoulders slumped, eyes darting nervously between the wives who surround him, each with a storm behind her gaze. Christine leans forward, face pale but burning with fury, lips pressed into a thin, uncompromising line. Robyn, seated next to her, hands folded tightly in her lap, wrestles her composure, though the shake in her fingers speaks volumes of her anxiety. Janelle and Meri share a glance, silent, tense, bracing for the emotional hurricane about to strike. The judge clears his throat, trying to maintain order, but the weight of the moment overshadows formal authority. "We will proceed," the judge says, but the words barely penetrate the tension that hangs over the room like a storm cloud. Kody rises slowly, attempting to speak, but the words catch in his throat. His usual calm, composed presence is gone, replaced by a man exposed, vulnerable, fearful, and on the brink of emotional collapse. Christine hammers both hands onto the bench, sending papers flying. "How could you, Kody?" she screams, her voice reverberating through the chamber. "All this time, making decisions in secret, manipulating us, hiding things we had every right to know. Did any of this ever matter to you?" Her words cut through the air like a razor, sharp and accusing, each syllable laden with pain and anger. Robyn's lips quiver as she fights off her tears, her voice shaking but growing in strength. "We trusted you, every single one of us. And this betrayal, it's crushing." Meri's hands are trembling on the bench. I can't believe this," she whispers, almost to herself. Her quiet voice speaks volumes of countless sleepless nights, of silently endured hurt and confusion. Janelle, normally the coolest of wives, sits erect, her jaw clenched, eyes narrowing with controlled intensity. The courtroom is electric, every heartbeat amplified, every breath tight with anticipation. The witness steps forward again, laying out more evidence, letters, recordings, and emails, detailing the depth of Kody's secrecy. Each document feels like another blow to the family, another thread pulled from the tightly woven fabric of their lives. Kody's face pales as he sees the proof, recognizes his own handwriting, hears his own voice, and realizes the fullness of how far his hidden actions have hurt the ones he claims to love. Christine presses forward, voice sharp and accusing. "You thought hiding things would protect us? Protect us from what? Your mistakes? From the truth?" Her eyes burn into Kody, seeking a flicker of honesty, a sign of regret. Robyn's tears begin to fall freely now, a quiet, heartbreaking testament to the emotional weight she has carried for so long. The witness puts a final folder on the stand, pushing it toward the judge. "There's one more piece," she says softly, but the words hang in the air with great implication. The courtroom goes silent. Every wife leans in slightly. Every eye rests on Kody. He swallows hard, trying to find words to defend himself, but nothing comes. The evidence is overwhelming, the emotions impossible to contain. Kody finally speaks, voice hoarse, almost a whisper. I thought I was doing what was best. I didn't realize the impact." The words fall flat. Christine snaps, her voice cutting through the tense air like a blade. Best? Best for who, Kody? Not for us. Not for any of us. You've spent years making decisions for your own comfort, while we suffered in silence. Robyn shakes her head, lips quivering. We trusted you to love us, not manipulate us. Janelle finally speaks, her voice calm but filled with an underlying fire. We've all sacrificed for this family, she says, eyes narrowing. We gave you our trust, our patience, and you used it to control us, not protect us. Meri leans forward, trembling, whispering, I just wanted honesty. I didn't ask for perfection, just honesty. The courtroom is silent, except the rustling of papers or the sniffle of a tear. The tension boils over. Kody's lawyers try to interrupt, but the emotions of the wives are just too raw, too urgent. Christine stands, towering over her seat. This isn't just about money. It's about respect. It's about love. And you, she points a direct finger at Kody, you betrayed every single one of us. Robyn rises more slowly, joining Christine, her voice now steady, but electrified with untold power. We are not children to be protected from the truth. We are adults. We are your wives, and you owe us transparency, not secrets, not manipulation. The courtroom is a pressure cooker, ready to blow its top. Kody's face is white, his hands clutched on the edge of the bench. The wives are standing together, united in their hurt and anger. Every word cuts like a whip, lashing with the weight of so many years of unspoken pain and betrayal. The air is electric with raw emotion that almost seems to take on a life of its own. The witness pulls out a recording, a private conversation between Kody and his confidant, both admitting to a produced set of secrets devised to maintain control over the family. It fills the room. Every word is heard with crystal clarity. Christine's hands shake on the bench. Robyn covers her face, and Meri leans back, tears streaming down her face. Janelle's expression hardens, her jaw tight, her eyes glimmering in shock and anger. The judge looks over the courtroom. Voice steady, but heavy with gravity. Mr. Brown, it is imperative that you respond to this final evidence, the judge says. Kody swallows audibly, voice faltering. I thought I was protecting everyone, he repeats. But it feels hollow, weighed down by the undeniable proof before him. Christine steps closer, her voice cracking with emotion but filled with resolve. Protecting us? By deceiving us? By hiding your actions behind lies? Do you even understand the damage you've caused? Robyn's tears fall freely now, her voice trembling but strong. We believed in you. We trusted you with our hearts. And you shattered that trust. Meri finally speaks, her voice trembling but resolute. I never wanted perfection. I just wanted honesty. And even now, I wonder, can we ever recover from this? Janelle nods in slow agreement, her eyes fixed on Kody, her stare silent yet screaming judgment. The courtroom is frozen, every eye watching, waiting. Then, without warning, the doors to the courtroom burst open. A dark figure steps inside. It's someone whose very presence shifts the room's energy instantly. All heads turn. Whispers ripple through the space as it becomes clear. This person brings with them a revelation that has the potential to change everything. Christine's jaw clenches. Robyn's body stiffens. And even Janelle and Meri lean forward instinctively. Kody looks up at the newcomer, recognition crossing his face, followed by dread. The figure walks slowly toward the witness stand with a folder in his hand, eyes scanning the room, locking briefly on Kody. Every step echoes like a drumbeat, a countdown to the revelation that promises to shake the family to its core. The tension is unbearable, electric, almost visible in the charged air surrounding them. The courtroom falls into an uneasy silence as the figure nears the witness stand. There's something magnetic, almost threatening about his presence, and every eye instinctively follows him. Kody's face pales as he watches the newcomer. His carefully sustained composure is gone, replaced by tension, dread, and that uncomfortable knowledge that the next revelation could alter everything. Christine leans forward in her seat, her jaw clenched tight, her fingers digging into the edge of the bench. "Who is this?" she whispers, though her tone carries both suspicion and a flicker of anticipation. Robyn sits stiffly, arms folded, trying to steady her breathing, but the tremor in her hands betrays her anxiety. Janelle and Meri exchange a glance, the unspoken communication of women who have survived 1,000 emotional storms together. They know instinctively that the next few minutes will decide the trajectory of their family's fragile existence. The newcomer slaps a thick folder onto the stand and opens it with deliberate care. "What I have here," they begin, their voice steady and unflinching, "contains evidence that has never been presented in court. Evidence that will clarify the truth once and for all." Every word is measured, each syllable heavy with intent. The courtroom leans in collectively, drawn in by the gravity of the moment. Kody shifts uncomfortably, his eyes darting to each of his wives, searching for an ally, a hint of sympathy, anything to soften the blow. There is none. The witness starts going through documents, showing a network of communication Kody had hoped would be kept secret. Messages, emails, and recordings show decisions made and manipulations done in secret to keep a tight rein on his wives, financially, emotionally, and socially. With every revelation, the impact is just like a punch to the chest, and the room visibly reacts. Christine's hands quiver as she clutches the bench. Robyn leans forward as her eyes well with tears. Meri clenches her jaw, while Janelle's gaze hardens into a resolute shell. The witness steps aside after having presented the first recording. Kody's voice echoes through the room, each word a shocking reminder of the secrets he kept. His tone is calm, almost convincing in the recording, but the content reveals manipulation and withholding of crucial information. Christine audibly gasps, covering her mouth as Robyn's tears start falling freely. Meri shakes her head, unable to comprehend how such a loving husband, whom she once trusted, turned into this voice on the recording. Janelle's face was impassive, but every single muscle in her face clenched as anger and feelings of betrayal swept over her. The judge raises a hand, calling for silence, but the room is electric with tension. "We will allow the evidence to speak for itself," the judge says firmly, eyes locked on Kody. He shifts in his seat, hands gripping the bench, as though bracing for an impact that has already arrived. The air is thick, every heartbeat amplified, every rustle of paper or shift of chair magnified by the collective anxiety in the room. Kody finally speaks, voice trembling but loud enough to be heard. I thought I was doing what is best. I didn't." His voice catches, words trailing into the heavy silence. Christine interrupts sharply, the sting in her voice unmistakable. "Best? Best for you maybe, but for us? You've betrayed us in ways you can't even imagine." Robyn leans forward, voice quivering but growing stronger. "We are not children to be manipulated. We are your wives, and you have shattered our trust." The witness continues, sliding more documents across the stand. Emails outline a timeline of decisions kept from the wives, financial investments, household plans, and manipulative conversations designed to divide and control. Every single piece of evidence reminds them of the depths of deception. Reactions are raw and visceral from the wives. Christine's hands fly to her face. Robyn's lips begin to shake. Meri covers her eyes in disbelief, and Janelle's hands clench tightly in her lap. The tension escalates as the witness presents the final piece of evidence, a recorded phone call whereby Kody admits to planning certain decisions without consent from his spouses, claiming that he did so to protect them. The audio plays, filling the room with a chilling clarity. Christine flinches, tears welling in her eyes. Robyn presses a hand against her chest, as if she cannot steady her breathing. Meri whispers softly, "I can't believe this," while Janelle's stare hardens, the intensity of her gaze capable of cutting through steel. The courtroom is silent, the weight of this moment pressing down on every person present. Even Kody's hands shake as he clings to the edge of the bench, the realization of full betrayal finally sinking deep. The evidence is undeniable. The emotional fallout can no longer be avoided. Each wife has now fully recognized the depth of deception and the consequences of its reveal. The judge, taking this matter seriously, speaks directly to Kody. "Mr. Brown, the evidence presented before us is voluminous and disturbing. You may have your chance to speak, but let me make one thing clear. Your actions irreparably damaged multiple lives and the trust of your family." Kody swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," he said, desperation lacing every word. But instead of forgiveness, the reactions in the room were raw emotion from those he betrayed. Christine steps forward, her voice quaking but firm. "Intentions don't erase the damage. They don't erase the lies, the manipulation, the secrecy. We trusted you, and you took that trust and broke it." Robyn joins in, her voice shaking but firm. "We are not pawns. We are not subjects in your experiment of control. We are your family, and you have betrayed that family completely." Meri finally speaks, her tone soft but cutting through tension. "I wanted honesty, Kody. I didn't ask for perfection, but what I got was deceit. And that is something I can never forgive lightly." Janelle leans forward, voice calm but piercing. "We sacrificed for this family. We trusted you. And now it's clear that trust was taken for granted, manipulated for control." Kody slumps heavily, as if the weight of the confrontation presses down on him. He realizes now that the court and the family are no longer on his side. The revelation has completely flipped the power dynamics. United, the wives are raw, unfiltered, and unyielding, each an embodiment of truth, demanding acknowledgement and accountability for years of hidden decisions. The courtroom doors swing open once more. The soft sound is almost lost in the charged air. Another figure enters, a lawyer clutching an envelope that claims to contain evidence able to further change the course of this case. The wives glance at each other, a mix of fear and anticipation crossing their faces. Kody's eyes widen, realizing the storm isn't over yet. The tension in the courtroom mounts to a fever pitch. Cameras flash, reporters frantically scribble, as the judge signals for calm. But the energy in this room is electric, each one present bracing for the next revelation. The future of the family, their trust, and their relationships hang precariously in the balance.